understand this is a split call.
I understand that as well.
I call the Honourable Member Ian Lees-Galloway.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. That is my name. It's a pleasure to follow my colleague from the Manawatu, Ian McKelvey. I think he spoke very well to the purpose and thrust of this bill, which is to ensure animal welfare, to improve animal welfare, and his recognition, and I'm sure other speakers have recognised how important New Zealand taking a positive and progressive stance on animal welfare is to our international reputation, and therefore how important it is to our economy. There's no doubt that while people probably are acutely aware of welfare issues when it comes to domestic animals, pets, cats and dogs and mice and birds, that perhaps sometimes farm animals, particularly for urban dwellers, are a little bit more distant, and we need to be aware of the welfare of production livestock as well. So, Mr Speaker, what I want to talk about this morning in the brief call that I have is how our position relating to the testing of psychoactive substances on animals relates to that international reputation that is so important to our export economy. Sir, it was an oversight of the Health Select Committee not to receive submissions regarding the testing of psychoactive substances on animals. We had the choice. It was not out of scope for us to hear those submissions. It was a matter for the committee to decide on, and the National Party members of that committee blocked us from hearing submissions on issues of animal testing of psychoactive substances. That was the National Party members on the Health Select Committee. But the argument was made at the time that that was not the right piece of legislation to consider that issue. I disagree with that argument, but the argument was made at the time, and indeed the chair of the Primary Industries Select Committee also sits on the Health Committee, and he made the comment at the time that the Animal Welfare Bill would be the appropriate mechanism through which to consider those issues. Therefore, I implore the members of the Primary Production Select Committee to hear submissions on animal welfare and in relation to testing of psychoactive substances. And I implore the people, the thousands upon thousands of people who emailed us when we were considering the Psychoactive Substances Bill, the thousands upon thousands of people who have written to the Minister of Primary Industries through facilitated by my colleague Trevor Mallard, to make their submissions to the Primary Production Select Committee and have their voices heard. This government far too often overrides democracy, silences our citizens, cuts people off from their democratic right to have their say about the way legislation is passed in this country, and they must not do it on this bill. They must hear those submissions, because how many? I think about 4,000. I reckon you'll get. I may be pitching it a little low there, but I reckon there'll be about 4,000, and I reckon many of those will be substantive, and the members of that committee should hear. In fact, I pledge that if that committee finds that there's too much work, I'll help out. I will come and substitute in, and I will help out and come and support that committee so that they can hear those submissions. Because I think New Zealanders are sick and tired of having their democratic rights. I think people are sick and tired of having their democratic rights undermined, and they need to be heard. Because, sir, this is not just an issue of animal welfare. This is an economic issue of New Zealand's reputation internationally, because we know that the world is looking at us because of the innovative approach this Parliament has taken to psychoactive substances. The world is watching to see how that new regime actually works out, and they will certainly be watching to see whether or not we accept the testing of psychoactive substances on animals. I've spoken to people working in the industry. They assure me that testing on animals is not necessary. If it is not necessary, let's make it clear, let's stop the testing of psychoactive substances on animals.
I call the honourable member Stephen Browning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.